back to G.I. Joe.
Hi guys, hello gorgeous. Back with another Toys Gone Wild video, and today I'm going to be looking at one of the Great White North's favorite figures. G.I. Joe's Arctic Trooper, Snow Job.
It's so cold.
He was released in 1983 as a single-carded figure as part of the second wave of G.I. Joe's relaunch in the 80s. Before we get to the figure, let's talk about the man himself. His file card has that same Larry Hama military realism and wit as most of the other early Joes. Arctic Trooper, codename Snow Job. File name Moore, Harlan W. Primary military specialty, Arctic Ski Patrol. Secondary military specialty, Rifle Instructor. It's ironic that he's a rifle instructor because the guy couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Birthplace, Rutland, Vermont. What does Hasbro have against making these Snow Joes Canadian? Grade E6 Sergeant. His bio reads, Snow Job was a major Olympic biathlon contender. He enlisted initially for the special training and support privileges that the Army gives to Olympic champions. However, to the consternation of Army PR flacks, Snow Job volunteered and was accepted into the G.I. Joe team. Qualified expert, all NATO long-range sniper rifles. XMLR-3A laser rifle. And the quote is submitted by Rock and Roll.
You think we call him Snow Job because he does his job on skis? Negative. He's a con artist, pure and simple. Except when he picks up his rifle, sure as heck, something's gonna fall down.
The expression has pretty much been lost over the years, but the term Snow Job was originally used to refer to con artists. And the con artist aspect of Snow Job's personality did show up in one of the G.I. Joe episodes.
And no side trips to sell refrigerators to Eskimos.
Would I do a thing like that?
Compared to the initial release of G.I. Joes in 1982, Snow Job was jam-packed with accessories. And his coolest gimmick is that most of them fit on his backpack. He included 2 skis and 2 ski poles, all of which he could carry on his backpack when not in use. And the pieces were held in with friction, not clipped in. So it was very rare for me to see a broken Snow Job backpack. Growing up a Canadian boy, my favorite accessory on Snow Job was definitely his skis.
Here goes nothing! Maybe walking's better for my health.
Although I've never actually skied myself, I have vicariously skied many arduous slopes thanks to Snow Job. And he wasn't just great on skis. Snow Job could skate too.
Come to Papa.
If they had included a pair of skates and a hockey stick, they would have sold millions of these in Canada. And the rifle included with Snow Job is the XMLR-3A laser rifle. Although he was the only early figure to include this rifle, this was the standard laser rifle used by most of the Joes on the Sunbow cartoon. As part of the 25th anniversary line, a modern version of Snow Job was released in 2008. This figure maintained the same look of the original, but with much more detail. Included once again were skis, ski poles, and a backpack that could hold them all based on the original molds, but updated for the modern figure's smaller backpack holes and smaller foot peg holes. Also included was the standard Joe laser rifle, and some of the details that were molded onto the original figure were now made as separate parts. His goggles are now removable, as well as his hood. The option to remove the goggles is a great feature. You can either have them down covering his eyes or push them up onto his forehead.
What's that?
I'm not sure, Snow Job. It's some kind of black pouch. It's not removable, but it is a separate piece screwed into his leg. And one of my favorite features on the modern figures, weapons that used to be molded onto the original figures are now removable on the new ones. On his right leg is a working holster with a flap, with a removable black revolver. Because in the Arctic, if 6 bullets won't kill it, then the cold will.
And I'm talking cold.
His coloring is the same too, predominantly white with black and dark brown accents, but his ginger beard this time out isn't quite as vibrant as it originally was. And like the original figure, you can peg his skis into his feet. On the G.I. Joe Real American Hero Sunbow series, Snow Job was voiced by the incomparable Rob Paulsen.
Affirmative!
Who's appeared in countless shows over the past 3+ decades, including The Jetsons, Transformers, Johnny Quest, Fraggle Rock, DuckTales, Dino Riders, Yogi Bear, Snorks, Smurfs, Chippendales Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, Gummy Bears, Batman, Darkwing Duck, Goof Troop, Tiny Toons, and the 2 roles I know him best for, the Tick's sidekick Arthur, and Raphael on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Hi. Just passing through.
When he first appeared in the Mass Device miniseries, he laid the Vermont accent on pretty thick,
Fresh snowy air. I never thought I'd smell it again.
but it lessened as the show went on.
I thought I could take a pretty good chill.
Here's a before and after of the Snow Job figures.
We got company. Where'd you come from?
The modern Snow Job includes a jacket skirt that goes around his waist for his Arctic coat, and while I like the look of it, it greatly reduces his hip articulation, making it difficult or impossible for him to sit in Joe Arctic vehicles like the Polar Battle Bear or the Snowcat. As with most modern figures though, it's nice that he can hold his rifle with both hands. Fortunately, he doesn't have modern Duke elbows. One strange thing about the modern figure though, is that brand new right out of the package, it had kind of a yellowish brown tint to it. I wonder if they did this as an homage to the vintage Snow Job, since many of those have yellowed, or more accurately, yellowish browned over the years, due to being played with outside in the cold under the sun's dreaded UV rays. Or maybe it's just because they don't make plastic like they used to. Also remember that if you do take your Joes out into the snow to play with them, the plastic on many of the vintage figures has become brittle, and it might crack with the slightest pressure in the cold. And some of the newer figures aren't exactly made with the highest quality plastics either.
Take it easy, man. I'm the delicate type.
Now for anyone that lives in a country that has a winter that lasts more than 3 months, I'm sure you can all agree that to endure the cold, you gotta be tough. And Snow Job, without a doubt, is one of the toughest Joes there is. I don't think anybody on the Sunbow cartoon ever took as much of a beating as Snow Job did on a consistent basis. And although he's not Canadian, he certainly has our attitude, always trying to look on the bright side.
Well, at least he missed the coffee pot.
And he wasn't above using harsh language.
You stinking! You're crazy! Gotcha now, you slippery creep!
And despite having his hands full searching for snow serpents and battling the elements, he also found time to keep kids out of trouble in one of the classic G.I. Joe public service announcements.
Hold it! Don't go on the ice! You'll only add more weight!
Most classic toy lines steered clear of Arctic conditions, and G.I. Joe was one of the few toy lines that gave the winter kids something to play with in the snow. Snow Job will always have a special place in my heart as the first real snow toy I ever got. Whether you prefer the nostalgia of the vintage figure, or the more detailed sculpt and the increased posability of the modern figure,
Some choice.
G.I. Joe is ready to conquer the Arctic with Snow Job.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
Remember to share the video if you liked it, leave a comment below, and to join the tribe, hit subscribe. Nerd must stay.